If I had to introduce someone to video game music for the first time today, here's the songs that I would pick and why. Now, funny enough, I actually already do this in my non-gamer series where I introduce classical musicians to video game music usually for the first time or for the first time in like 20 years. But in this particular case, this is just a person. This is a person out in the world. They're like, I don't know what I should do. Well, I'll give them these tracks. I would start off with City Ruins from NieR Automata. Now, you may ask yourself, why? And the answer is, well, because I like it. No, I would pick this because it's chill, it's vibe, it's a vibe piece. It showcases what it feels like to just kind of sit back and relax. You hear this language and you're like, well, what language is that? And they would be like, I don't know. And then you would be like, well, it's the chaos language. What's the chaos language? Oh, it's a bunch of romance languages smashed together. So they kind of make up a bunch of gibberish, but it's actually a whole language that has thoughts and feelings and meanings, and it's all connected somehow. And they would be like, what? I didn't even know that was possible. And then you would blow open their minds. And it has a chill vocal track behind it. It's just the vibes. It's just perfect. You know what I mean? It's gentle. It has a nice lilt to it. There's momentum in it. That's a track that you say, hey, this is like kind of nice, isn't it? This is a vibe. I really love this piece, don't I? And they would say, you know what? I love it too. After that, I would pivot to something completely different. I would pivot to They Might As Well Be Dead by Chris Christodolo. Mood. What a piece. What an invigorating feeling of life. That's such like a this moment of just like ascension. You know what I mean? Where you're inviting this repeated pattern. You feel this enthusiasm, this excitement, this adrenaline. Ba ba da pia ba da ba ba da bi da bi da ba. The energy in that is the total opposite from City Ruins. And so it would just be like, what? What is that?
What the fuck is that?
I mean, who doesn't like that, right? That's what I would play. And the thing is, like, it's such a satisfying sound too, you know what I mean? It just feels really good. And then like, we're gonna stay in this. We're gonna stay in this feeling of like excitement. I would play Persona 4 Specialist. Again, we're going for mood pieces. We're going for energy. We're going for momentum. We're going for somber. We're going for exciting. We want to like showcase different energies. And so in this case, if I was doing this back to back, I'd be like, okay, They Might As Well Be Dead. That's great. Now listen to this. I would play this song because it's so much fun. You know, like this is a piece that's like, hey, actually, you know what? I hurt my back doing that, by the way. You know what's funny about this is that this is a song of energy. So it takes like Chris Christodolo, They Might As Well Be Dead, and it dials it up to 11. And it says, hey, why am I out of breath? Oh, God. Who doesn't love to dance? You know, like who doesn't love to, well, I don't. I got in trouble. My wife told me that I dance like a white boy. She was embarrassed of, anyway, doesn't matter. Trauma. The point is that, like, the energy in that is really exciting. There's obviously a fast rhythm. Ba ba da ba, ba ba ba, ya da da, ba ba da ba, ba 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 ba. It's inviting. It's like, bro, like, come have a good time. It's not like heavy or morose or even just like a little bit too much energy, like a, oh my God, I'm out of breath. I'm so out of breath. It's not even as like soulful as They Might As Well Be Dead, or certainly as like placid as City Ruins. This is like quite the like arc we go on. And in this particular, not that I would even do all this back to back, but the energy in it is just so satisfying. And then I would be like, you know what? I want to throw it back for you. Not like my booty. I want to throw it back for you. Then I would be like, you know what? There's a gorgeous piece from Chrono Trigger that I love that's deeply introspective, and that's Schala's theme from Chrono Trigger. And then they'd probably be like, well, it's a little repetitive, isn't it? And I'd be like, yeah. The rhythm's repetitive. The momentum of it is fairly repetitive and consistent. But go even a step further and think about the fact that here you get this gorgeous melody, right? And what is that melody trying to say? Like it's sawed. It's very sad. Ba 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 da 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 da. Like, it's just like, oh man, everything's falling through my fingers. My life is over. This life is totally not what I expected. Oh my goodness. You know what I mean? Don't you hear that? Don't you hear that sadness in that sound? Especially when we go up into the upper register. You know, it's broken. It's sad. It's somber. It's tragic. I don't know. I'd probably put a pivot over to Battlefield 1 main theme. I'd be like, listen to how epic what we just heard, like borrowed orchestral music. But now listen to this theme. Discussion and say like, isn't it cool how Schala's theme, which had orchestral strings in it, and obviously it was a very different sound, but isn't it neat how like you can kind of hear how that was video game music from the 90s and this is video game music from like now, or at least like, 10 years ago-ish. And then I would be like, yeah, and frankly, Battlefield 1 is really special anyway because it features a game that deals with World War I, which is so uncommon. We don't really get that at especially at like a AAA, and they'd be like, what's AAA? And I would be like, well, it's the budget of the money, and everyone hates AAA now. But anyway, I would get into why this track hits so hard and why we enjoy listening to something like this, right? Then I'd be like, you know what though, like something just came out, Europa Universalis 5. You want to hear like crazy orchestra writing, like check this out. Oh no, I can't play this because of the copyright, damn it. And then I'd be like, well, have you ever heard of The Legend of Zelda? And depending on where they are, they'd be like, well, I've heard it. And I would be like, okay, well, have you heard any of the music? And they'd be like, no, I don't think I have. And then I'd be like, I guess I will do Zelda's Lullaby. And they'd be like, that sounds nice. And then they would be blown away by this from Breath of the Wild. And they'd be like, wow. And I'd be like, yeah, the history of Zelda is actually really interesting because it's been around for, 30, 35 years. And there's such a wealth of different versions of some of these themes that have been around for forever. And they'd be like, what? And I'd be like, yeah, isn't that crazy? And they wouldn't say that they weren't interested in hearing an older version because they wouldn't want to be rude. And so I'd provide them with Zelda Ocarina of Time version. And they would remark, oh, wow, the tempo's faster here. Well, they wouldn't know what tempo was probably. Wow, it sounds faster. It sounds like there's more momentum. And I'd be like, yeah, there is. I wonder why that is. Do you think that there's a reason why the tempo is faster? And would they be like, what's tempo? And I go, tempo is time. It's the speed of which things are played. And they'd be like, oh, I don't know. I mean, maybe there's something more urgent happening. Or it's interesting how the piano version, because of the piano in the upper register, it actually gives it a sound of like resting your head on a pillow, or what it's like at the end of a day, or falling in love with somebody, or a sense of peace. And I'd be like, I know, isn't that crazy? That's the power of music, baby. And then I'd be like, you can't hear that on the radio. And then I would go ahead and I would do the Celeste main theme that I just heard recently myself. And I'd be like, isn't this dope? Do you like synth? Or were you alive in the 80s? And they'd be like, holy crap, I feel so much emotion from that. And I'm like, I know, isn't that crazy? Because you have the synth moving in there and you have that momentum. And then over top, you have this really like beautiful legato kind of sustained thing. And I'd be like, well, what does that make you feel? I would hope that they would say, it makes me feel kind of peaceful, but also I have this energy in me. Like I need to go and do something. I need to have momentum and make choices that are healthy for me, right? Like there's a sound in that of excitement. And I'd be like, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like who knew you were a musical genius? And they would be like, thank you, I appreciate that. And then I would be like, okay, well, do you like EDM? And they'd be like, I mean, not really. And I'd be like, hold on now. Why don't you try listening to this? And I would play Narwahl from Punishing Gray Raven. They'd be like, Narwahl, isn't that a whale? And I'd be like, you're damn right it is. And I probably fast forward a bit. I know that you're not supposed to do this, and I've even made a video saying that you shouldn't fast forward, but I would break my own rule and be a hypocrite, and I'd be like, listen to this. I mean, I would assume they'd be blown away by that. And I'd be like, well, what do you think? And they'd be like, wow, it's crazy. I never realized that there was EDM in games. And I'd be like, you know what's crazy? That's actually a game that you can play on your phone. That's a mobile game. And they'd be like, what? There's games on your phone? I'd be like, yeah. Some of them are terrible cash grabs, and others of them are kind of compelling novels. And they'd be like, novels on my phone? What? And then I'd be like, well, do you like music that is iconic? Would you want to hear the most iconic stuff? We already heard Zelda, one of the most iconic themes in video game history. I would play them Halo's theme. And then they'd be like, whoa, hold on. Is that the song that I've heard that like girl sing in her stairwell on TikTok, or the monks on YouTube? And I'd be like, exactly. That's the monk song. And I'd say, you know, what's crazy is that chant is actually the composer, Marty O'Donnell, who actually, like, they did this, and he was in the studio and he just pitched it up, or whatever that they say. That's the lore of the video. And they'd be like, wow, that's crazy. I had no idea. Who knew? That's the power of music. And then I'd be like, well, do you want to get your socks blown off? And they'd be like, of course I do. We're already here. Let's just go all the way in. So then I'd be like, listen to Counterattack from Xenoblade Chronicles 2. I love the doubling in that. And they would just be so stunned by that. They wouldn't know what to say. I thought I ended the video with counterattack, but then I was thinking to myself, like, wait a second, why would I end on counterattack when I could end on this? And they would be like, well, why is that song so important? And I'd be like, well, simply put, I mean, this is a song that like defined a generation. Also, the fact that it borrows from The Rite of Spring by Igor Stravinsky. Bum 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 ba-dum ba-dum bum 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 ba-dum bum. Well, it's this crazy piece about a ritual sacrifice. The rumor is that people were so disturbed by it when they heard it in the ballet that they were throwing up and leaving the theater. And apparently that's not true, but like it's pretty cool how this amazing Japanese composer Nobuo Uematsu essentially took that and jigsaw puzzled One Winged Angel into it. And One Winged Angel is representing the big bad of Final Fantasy VII, and there are several Final Fantasies, so it's never really final. And yeah, there's this piece like transcended people's brains. It was like next level, and Sephiroth to us is like Darth Vader in popular movie culture, like that they're equal, and I would love to see them fight. I don't know who would win. I assume Sephiroth. And they'd be like, wow, I had no idea. And my life has changed forever. Thank you so much, Marco, for introducing me to all this amazing music. I'm a convert. I've changed. And now what you need to do is take this list and send it to anybody who doesn't believe that video games and video game music are an art form, because guess what, they are. And a challenge for you is to leave what you would include in a list for non-gamers that you would introduce them to. And hey, maybe we do another one so that this becomes the you know what? You got to listen to this. And if you're watching this and you're a non-gamer, come on in. The water's fine. Welcome aboard. Thanks a ton, everybody, and I'll see you later.